Guys, we've got two things in southern Indiana that we haven't had all year long. And first of all, it's temps in about the 70s, low 70s, and we've got not 30-mile-an-hour winds. And I know everyone across the country can relate to that. The wind has been terrible this year. We're finally out on the water. Want to tell you about something. We're in this pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn period where you've got fish in all three phases. There's plenty of ways to catch these fish. A lot of people like throwing a Senko. A lot of people like throwing a bladed jig. We've got grass here. That bladed jig is really tough to beat. But there's a way to catch maybe a little larger than average size fish and have a little more fun doing it. And so we're going to talk about that today. And that technique is probably the most fun technique you can have. And that's throwing a frog. Right here, we've got the Spro Essential Series Flappin Frog. This is kind of a hybrid between your typical walking frog and your hollow body frog and like a buzz frog. And it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. Shout out to Adam and Hans at the shop for getting on this deal. But this thing is awesome. And this time of year, these fish, we've got perfect conditions right now. The water's up a little bit. So we've got this, we've got some water behind this grass line. And these big fish are coming up to spawn. And a lot of them are either on that inside part of that grass line or in the grass itself, and they've wedged out a little pocket to spawn. And they do not like it when this thing gets in their way. And they take out their frustration on it a little bit. And that's what we're looking for. And that's the fun part. So the key here, and the thing that I think is the tip here that is unique to this particular spin on it, a lot of people throw frog post-spawn. But right now, again, we've got fish in all three phases. Water temperature's 59 degrees. So I don't want anyone to think that you can't catch a frog when the water temperature is below 60. This has probably been working since the water was 50, although not, that's certainly not ideal conditions. But, when the water temperature hits 55 is when you can really start keying on this bite. And then when you get around 60, it's a way to catch a big fish. You won't get many bites, but when you do, it's going to be one of those bigger females more than likely. And it's just an absolute blast to throw this thing around and get those big blow-ups, especially when you've been stuck inside for winter all year and you're finally back out here enjoying some nice weather, and then you get to go take the big frog stick, some braided line, and absolutely lay the wood to them. That is as good as it gets. And so what I'll always try to do is just cast this thing up to the bank, get it all the way up there. You don't want to make a huge loud splash. You want to give it some subtlety to it, ideally, getting it almost all the way to the bank, and then just bring it back. And the nice thing about this frog is it floats just like a normal hollow body. So you can stop it and shake it a little bit if you want to, or you could just give it a slow, steady retrieve. So you've got plenty of versatility and plenty of options. And I'm hoping while we do this, we get lucky and one of these big females decides to come play. We have caught, in just a couple hours, we've caught a couple over 4.5, doing just this, and missed a biggin. And I mean a giant for Indiana, giant. So they are definitely willing to cooperate. And the good thing about doing this too, and this is not a highly pressured body of water, but there's not a lot of people that you're going to see doing this on your bigger lakes this time of year. So you can kind of get ahead of the curve on this whole deal before they've seen it come buzzing across their face there was a small blow up there, before they've seen it come buzzing across their face for 2 or 3 months. So this is something it definitely pays to get on it early, and you can get it. You can pick off the dumb ones, and I don't think they're actually dumb. I just think they're in an aggressive state of mind where it's a threatening thing and they want it out of there. But either way, it's something unique at a time of year they're used to seeing kind of the same old techniques. So as a setup for this, I've got a Tatua Elite AGS rod, and it's the 7.4 frog rod. And this is an excellent choice for it. Plenty of power, got a decent tip to it, but there we go. Not the big female we were looking for, but we'll take it nonetheless. Not a bad little fish. And most importantly, he was looking up. And that's what we like to see. And as far as reel goes, we've got a Daiwa 8-to-1 reel. And we've got 50-pound Sunline FX2 braid. And you can go with 60, 65, 80, whatever you feel comfortable with. But there is no finesse in this approach. This is, they blow up on it. You wait till you feel the fish or see the frog disappear. And then you absolutely lay the wood to them. And hopefully it's a nice one and they don't come flying 30 feet back at you. So as far as color goes, you can keep it pretty simple for this. Black, white, and then a bluegill pattern. And really you could probably do just fine with black and white, but this killer gill color just seems to be effective no matter what body of water you're fishing. And whenever you're in this grass, there's always bluegill around, and that's always something that at least interests the bass that's around the spawn. So killer gill is what we've got today. Several different color options you could go with. And if you wanted to throw a standard Zoom horny toad or a Stanley ribbit or whatever frog you want to throw is totally fine. Just like a Spro bronze-eye popping frog or a regular Spro bronze-eye frog. All of those are good options, but this flapping frog seems to be the most efficient way to do this whole pattern. Whew. God, that's fun. Spro frog, flapping frog, killer gill, big old Indiana bass, bunch of grass, good time. Guys, I'm telling you what, you got to get on this pattern. You got to get on it. This is our 5th fish. Our first 4 went 20.17. $4.94. Lock it in. That is Southern Indiana at its finest. 5 fish, 25.12 pounds. All on the flapping frog. Thank you, big girl. And so this bite will always, will also last through the spawn. So then you'll get into the post-spawn, the fry guarding stage, all of that. In this pattern, it really gets better for numbers. But right now is when you'll catch your biggest fish. And it's when those females are up there ready to do their thing, and they're up shallow and they are either in protect mode or they are grabbing a last meal or two, like that one was thinking about. Before they actually spawn. And then you also may catch some that are, your early spawners, which a lot of times are your biggest and longest fish. So they may not be the heaviest ones, but you'll see a You know, your big fish spawn earlier typically, or at least are on the early side of the spectrum. So you may see a fish that's not as heavy as some of the pre-spawners, but it's a big long fish that spawned out, bloody tail, the whole 9 yards, and you will possibly even be surprised that one has spawned this early. But if there have been fish that have spawned, you will a lot of times catch them doing this. And again, this is a lot of times on lakes that do have grass, but it doesn't have to have grass. This bite exists all over the country. It just is a lot more obvious and I guess easier to cash in on when you have a grass fishery or a grass line that you can contend with. And this grass here is just barely starting to touch the surface. And if it was a foot or two underneath the surface, it wouldn't affect anything. It would still apply. But I will tell you what, this is a lot more fun than picking up a Senko and kind of picking at holes in this grass. And even, I love a good bladed jig bite. It's a really good time of year to catch them on a bladed jig, but that bite can get pretty stagnant when there's no wind and when there is, you know, no cloud cover. But this right here, it pretty much excels when it's sunny, no wind. I mean, that's like ideal conditions. So it kind of gives you something else to do. And like I said, there is just absolutely, for me, there's nothing that beats catching them on a frog. The blow up, the hook set, horsing them in, it is just an absolute thing of beauty. And it's not something that we get to do enough of. And so whenever there's an opportunity to do it, especially when big fish are involved, you got to take that opportunity and make it happen. When they think about it and they just don't commit, though, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Just eat it. You know you want it. This is another one of those patterns, too, that you just need one big bite to give you the confidence. And if one will eat it, you know more are going to eat. You just got to stick with it. To me, it's one of those, once you get the signal, once they tell you, once they tell on themselves, this is a I'm not putting it down the rest of the day type of pattern. This is almost the same philosophy of why people get addicted to big baits, because you know that not everyone that bites is going to be big, but you have a much higher than average chance that if she blows up, she's a female and she is large. Some variations on this when you are in a situation where the fish are pretty active. This flapping frog or any other horny toad, buzz frog situation works perfect. If they're a little less active and you need to coax them into it a little bit, then that's when the hollow body or the popping frog comes into play, something you can kind of keep in front of their face for longer and talk them into it, really elicit a strike when they aren't just willing to come flying over to it and knock the living daylights out of it. So I would always want to have both rigged up just in case. You don't know how the fish are going to act, and of course you go through periods of the day that are better than others, and so it may change within the same day, one to the next, and you want to have a nice 1-2 punch there. And then the other thing is, it's good to have a throwback bait of some variety rigged up. A Senko is probably the most obvious and most effective, but a super fluke, something like that would be always an option too. The old floating worm, the old bubblegum pink floating worm, never a bad idea. Anytime you can get some floating worm action in, you should definitely make that happen. So guys, all of this gear in this video available at AmericanLegacyFishing.com. Get out there. Don't be worried about the water temperature being in the high 50s, low 60s, mid 50s, whatever it is. Pick up the frog. Get on some of these pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn fish. Have a blast with it. It is so much fun. Hope you guys can get out on the water. Let us know what you think. What's your favorite presentation this time of year? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.